Right, okay. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Today, we're interviewing Aarnav Trivedi, one of my closest friends, and who's won top 10 internationally and third in North America in the Blue Ocean Entrepreneurship competition from 23,000 startup pitches from 171 countries, and is now a deep physics research intern at the Navy this summer, all as an incoming high school senior. Incredible stuff. He's genuinely one of the smartest people I know. So let's welcome Aarnav Trivedi to the YouTube channel.
Okay. So Aarnav, this is going to be rapid fire questions. And so just try to go in depth as possible in all these questions. Okay?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So where did you get your initial start with entrepreneurship, and what sparked your initial interest in building things?
It all started when I was around 10 years old. I used to go outside and sell lemonade. I used to have a bunch of friends, call everyone in my community, tell them to come over here to my stand and just sell lemonade. And that really started my initial spark of, okay, hey, I can create a product and I can share value to other people. As I grew older, I started to learn more about more technical things. I started opening up computers. I started looking at electronics, computer programming, the basics of Java and JavaScript, and all these little coding languages that I learned to be able to create new things, because I really love creating and creating value, right? So I learned to be able to create new things and also share those things to the people around me. And you mentioned what was the last part of the question?
It was about what sparked your initial interest in building things.
Yeah, so it was that sort of enjoyment of the process. I always enjoyed like art and drawing and creating and being able to figure out, okay, here's step A, here's step B. What is the connecting tissue behind these various steps, and how can I create a process where it feels enjoyable to create? And I always love the aspect of sharing and telling other people what I created, and that process of improving over time. I think like it felt like kind of a game almost, to sort of like, draw something or build something or create some web app or create some application and slowly improve it over and over time. I think that intrinsically from a young age is something that continued even to this day, and something that I feel drives me forward.
So for the viewers who are not aware of the Blue Ocean Challenge, can you explain how the competition works and what are the different stages of progression?
Yeah, so the Blue Ocean Entrepreneurship Challenge is probably the world's largest high school entrepreneurship challenge. It is specifically a virtual pitch competition. So essentially, you and a group of friends, preferably like 2 to 5 people, come together and you create a product, right? You create some sort of product that solves a problem. And the point of Blue Ocean is that you use their specific Blue Ocean strategy, quote unquote, which is sort of a premier common business strategy used in order to sell a product, and more importantly, differentiate from other existing products. So the idea is that you want to create a product that solves a problem, and you want to make sure it differentiates from these other products that are already in the market, sort of like the ocean of whatever's already in the market kind of thing, right? And you create a 5-minute video, you explain the product itself, and you also explain what is the actual business behind it. How are you going to sell the product? Who are you going to sell to? What is the process of selling? What are your estimates of how your product could grow over time? All these are basic fundamental things that you want to be thinking about when you're creating a company or a business. And that is the same thing that Blue Ocean requires you to think about when you're entering a competition.
Sorry for the brief break in the interview, but if you want to win major high school entrepreneurship competitions, just like how Aarnav did, and leverage that to getting crazy internships, join Prep and Pitch Academy. The link is in the description below, and I'll be personally coaching multiple kids to winning these competitions. Join us down below for a free consultation, and I'll be in touch with you guys. Thanks, and now back to the video.
Awesome, yeah. So what problems were you trying to solve with your Blue Ocean project, and why did that particular issue resonate with you personally?
Yeah, so it all started from a very personal event. So my old house that I used to live in when I was born, all the way up to around like 6 years old, I moved from that house to this new house, which is in a different area. But recently, we were renting that house out to a tenant, and fortunately, the house burned down in an arson attack. In that event, one of the tenants also unfortunately passed away. So this was a deeply sort of traumatic event. And I think it really pushed me to think deeper about what are the more pressing issues that are directly related to me, and not necessarily something that's like out in the world, and it's something very personal, and it's a small issue that I can solve one problem at a time, right? And it pushed me to look forward in terms of different aspects of firefighter safety, fire awareness, social components of like related to construction and fires, right? And one of the things I looked at when I was researching was firefighters often losing a lot of visibility when they enter a building. So let's say you're a firefighter, you enter a building, you're trying to save someone. There's often an extreme lack of visibility because there's a lot of smoke, right? It's very dense, a lot of smoke around you, and you want to figure out how you can get to the victim in time. So I thought deeply about that problem. What are the existing solutions, right? One of the existing solutions is typically the firefighter has a thermal camera that they hold on their left hand, and they use that thermal camera to be able to see around them using obviously the thermal imaging, right? The issue with that is that one, it takes away an extra hand, and also it's not really connected to their incident commander, which is like the guy who's like in the back controlling them, right? So overall, the problem here was firefighter visibility, and it came from a very, very personal component, which I think is something that helped me feel interested in the problem, but also helped Blue Ocean resonate with my issue that I was trying to present to them.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds really cool. And I'm really sorry about your house before. It sounds incredibly sad. But can you tell me can you tell the viewers a little bit about like what you actually built for the competition? Like go deeply into like the technology that you delivered through.
Absolutely. So going back to the problem, which is firefighter visibility, what I created was a augmented reality and artificial intelligence powered firefighter helmet that supports a firefighter in an operation. So what it does is essentially you place the firefighter helmet on your head. It has a thermal camera, it has a camera, and it has a sensor board. So essentially it's able to look around in the surroundings, look at, for example, like let's say the firefighter is entering a house and they see the couch or the neighboring area, right? It's able to then take that area and provide the edges of that area, so kind of create an edge detection box, so it's very easy to see. Also, it's able to identify the objects around them. For example, if there's a house, or if there's the couch, it'll identify that's a couch there, right? So all of these things are improving their visibility, and it's all displayed within a HUD display. So they're able to walk in and very easily be able to see the objects around them, the identification of the objects, where they're located. So creating an edge bounding box around each object. So then it's very easy for them to go in there and see. And they can change their various modes. For them, they can toggle thermal camera mode. They can toggle like the edge detection mode. They can toggle like the object detection mode, which like identifies the objects. And as they're walking through the building, not only can they see more clearly with their different modes of cameras, but also as they're walking, at the same time, a 3D map of the surroundings is being created, which is sent back to the incident commander or like the team leader, which can then see a more nuanced view of the entire landscape of the interior building as they're walking inside. So it's kind of a dual component of like, it's able to help the firefighter itself be able to see more clearly, but also the incident commander who is helping oversee the operation.
Wow. So you really went deep into this, right? So
Yeah.
That's incredible. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. That sounds really cool. So what were some of the biggest challenges you think you faced when building the product and getting it from 0 to 1, you think?
Yeah. So I think the biggest challenge for sure was building the product. It took a lot of decision making in terms of what parts do I have to purchase, what sensors do I have to purchase, how do I CAD, because I know how to add CAD. I had to like ask friends, call up friends like, hey, how do I CAD? I don't know how to CAD. I don't know how to use Onshape. I don't know how to use all these things, right? So when you have an idea, you often have to figure out what are the steps I need to do to actually complete the project, complete the idea, right? So I had to learn CAD. I had to learn what kind of software stack I wanted to use to create the software, because not only did I have to create the physical hardware for the attachment, for the firefighter helmet attachment, but also the software associated with that. Making sure that there is a real-time streaming of the camera footage to the incident commander who can then see what the firefighter is looking at, right? So there's like a connectivity between the actual physical product and the software, right? So I had to figure out how do I actually build these things and what is the steps involved. So that was very, very difficult. And that is probably the hardest challenge. The second, I'd say hardest challenge is also like organization and time management, working with other people, figuring out how can I divvy up tasks? How can we stay on task? How can we not feel like a lack of clarity and like distracted and like a lack of visibility, like kind of similar to the project idea, right? Like how do we know what to do and when? Because a lot of the times we spent like thinking about, oh, we're going to start tomorrow or start this XYZ time. And a lot of the work actually got completed very late. right? So I'd say if you're doing this competition, you should try to make sure you balance a regular schedule of like, okay, I'm going to complete this week and next week and next week, and like plan it out more. So then you're going to be very, very prepared. We were kind of not as prepared. And if I was doing this again, I'd probably work to make sure that there's more clarity in terms of what is actually everyone doing, how are we going to do it, when are we going to do it.
Awesome. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's definitely important to have a prepared stance towards anything. But ultimately, what do you think made your project stand out and made you ultimately win the competition at the very end?
Yeah, I believe what made us stand out, there's a couple of things. The first primary thing was our narrative. We were very thorough in our story. For example, when we introduced the problem, we used vivid imagery. We used like actual images of the firefighter going inside the building. They can see exactly like what is the problem, which is like lack of visibility, right? Like for example, in a fire attack, when you enter a building, in like a couple minutes, something happens which is called like a flashover, which essentially the entire building just goes up in flames, it just blows up, right? And we were able to show that flashover occurring in the video. I think our editing and our team member Krishi was very, very, very meticulous and accurate in terms of precise video footage that represented exactly a problem. Every single component of a problem, for example, like time is an issue, right? A lack of time in interior buildings, a lack of like visibility, all these things, right? So being able to show the problem very clearly so they understand the same way you do, the actual vision of like, okay, I have no prior experience in this problem. Can I understand it in like very quick manner, right? So that was one of the biggest components of like properly showing a problem. The second was our physical product. We had a very clear, cool physical product. We had good B-roll and good footage to actually show the product moving. So that was really crucial. And that was very good to actually represent what do we actually do to build it. Another thing, right? You have limited time in the 5-minute video span. So you want to have footage that clearly shows your product in like 5 seconds. Like they can just see, for us, it was like me moving with the helmet. In 5 seconds, you can clearly understand that I have the helmet and I'm like identifying objects, right? And like that as well. So we had a really good product, I think, that helped us stand out. Another component, lastly, was the way we represented our funds and our money. We were very accurate in terms of the numbers. We took time on spreadsheets and Google Slides to make sure like all the numbers and the revenue numbers for the future were very accurate. And all these things in terms of accuracy and like making the slides more detailed and nice looking and all that helped us represent it very well. I think we had a very good pitch in terms of the actual growth and marketing and business side of things, which they care about a lot, because it's end of the day, it's not even a product competition, it's a business competition, right? So you want to make sure that is very, very crucial. So I think we had a really good structure in terms of the way we did that.
Awesome. Yeah. And then I guess the last thing that I wanted to ask you is, for high school students that want to compete in entrepreneurship competitions like the Blue Ocean, what advice would you give them and what mistakes should they ultimately avoid when approaching something like this?
Yeah, so I would give you advice is start early and be prepared. Start extremely early. I'd say as early as possible. Probably right now in the summer, start thinking of ideas, start thinking of problems, start thinking of like cool, interesting things, and be prepared to buy or do whatever is necessary to create that product. Build your team early. And I think if you do that, you'll be super ahead because everyone else is thinking about it like maybe like December, November. You're already ahead. You have a plan. You have a plan of action. You know what you need to do. And I think that's one of the biggest word of advice is like be prepared and be early, because if you're early, you take more time to participate in things like this, like these classes that Pravith's providing, which is like helping you understand like fundamentally what do you need to know and what do you need to do to actually win, right? Because it's very easy to compete, right? It's not very, very difficult to win. Winning requires a level of preparation and like thinking of like, okay, what is my product actually doing? Why is it actually useful? Can I show this video to like random people and can they easily understand it and easily like feel like they're attached to it? Like you don't want to create something that's just like a good video. People want to feel emotionally attached to it. They want to feel like they enjoy the product. They want to support it in the future. They feel attached to the people, right? So you need to represent yourself really well. So I think taking the time to understand the components of the actual requirements, but also like what you individually and what team you have to grow. You have to grow individually, you have to grow as a team, you have to grow as a builder, right? What are the things you need to do? So be early and be prepared. Probably the two things.
Thank you so much, Aarnav. Yeah, this is really helpful. And yeah, this is Aarnav Trivedi. He is one of the smartest people I know. And thank you so much for having this interview with me.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Good luck.